Rich Anako and I'm from Vanguard. Today I'm going to talk to you about Vanguard's journey with OpenTelemetry and Honeycomb. I'll talk to you about this in 3 ways. I'll talk to you about how we got started. I'll also talk to you about where we are today. And I'll talk to you about where we're headed. And more importantly also, I would hope that this serves as a template for organizations our size and also for organizations in highly regulated industry, like the financial service industry. So to build context around this, several years ago, Vanguard had this idea to move all of its workload from our data centers to the public cloud. The idea was this transformation will happen sequentially. So we would move from our data center to a private cloud. From the private cloud, we would go to the public cloud. But what happened is we ended up in a state where we were running across these 3 environments simultaneously. So we had services that had dependencies across the 3. So this layered in so many complexities for our support teams to really understand what's going on in our environment. So I joined Vanguard about 2 years ago, and my job was really to help build instrumentation and build out the telemetries that would help our teams really know what's going on in the environment. So we set up goals, and these goals were about how can we support our applications with these layers of complexity? How can we know what's going on in them? We needed an approach that will help us understand this modern production environment. We knew that our current APM solution did not scale. It was not really bringing that engagement from our teams. We knew we had to solve this problem. So how did we get started? So the one thing I want to highlight about how we got started in this journey is that we started really small. Starting small is really a great technique that I think teams should learn from. I come from financial services, been there for more than a decade. And one thing that you see is things like this will require approvals, require so many organizational involvements to really get an idea off the ground. In this case, that was not the case. We're only 3 of us, myself, an engineer in my team, and another engineer in one of our feature teams. So we came together, we knew that our current approach did not scale. What can we use? What technology solutions are available out there that can tell us the patterns that are happening as calls are going from our data center to the private cloud, to the public cloud, and traversing back and forth? How can we see this? How can we really help our teams reduce mean time to recovery? So this was a goal that we set. So now what did we do? We knew one of the technologies that was top of mind was, okay, we need to use a distributed tracing approach. So we started looking at technologies out there. Open tracing came to mind, but we needed a backend where we would send these trace information and be able to interrogate our systems to see what's going on. We looked at all the vendors. Honeycomb became a partner who wanted to work with us along this journey. So we started really small, as I mentioned. We took one of the services that had dependencies across these environments. So how did we get started? It was a quiet team, small team, self-organizing team. We started the instrumentation. We were able to get early feedback. We were able to see what's happening. But we did this initially with Beeline. One other approach that we wanted something that was vendor neutral. We didn't want our engineers worrying about licensing, what vendor agents were installing, and all of that stuff. So we went with Open Tracing at the time, but Open Tracing didn't give us that other instrumentation capability we were looking for. We knew about OpenTelemetry, we knew about the progress that was happening in that community, and we said, let's try this out. We brought in OpenTelemetry. Honeycomb did not care. They were like, whatever you use, our backend can handle it. So we started with OpenTelemetry. So with OpenTelemetry, the auto instrumentation was one of the main drivers that really helped us. We were able to propagate context across application boundaries, across environments, and we were able to interrogate these systems and really understand what's happening. So let me tell you a bit about where we are now. As we moved, we have hundreds of teams now using OpenTelemetry and Honeycomb. We're able to bring a different mentality in the way we run and manage our production systems. We're able to really help our engineering teams. We've changed the culture. And one of the things I will highlight today is how we think about production systems. We often think of APMs as something that is only used in production, or we use it to fight fires. We use it to respond to incidents. With OpenTelemetry, we found, yes, it's actually very effective in doing that, but also it helps you to do analysis. So I'll highlight 2 examples. One main example that we found, our team discovered, was there was a migration effort going on. And this team wanted to move some data to a new repository in the cloud. And they wanted to know all the dependencies that were involved. They wanted to know all the user actions, how they map back to these backend stored procedures. So they've been going months with spreadsheets, looking at code, involving really smart people engaged in trying to solve this problem, but they could not. Because this was on-prem, this was considered a legacy application, they did not think we could help. This application had dependencies with other workloads in our private cloud. But we said, okay, let's try this out. With OpenTelemetry and Honeycomb, they were able to answer these questions within minutes. So that was key. It just showed our teams that this is beyond just responding to an incident. You can actually understand how your systems are behaving. Another important thing that I want to highlight today is when it comes to measuring what's happening in your production systems, really measuring what matters. So I'll talk about service level objectives and the impact it's had in the way we manage our production systems. One example I would like to highlight today is a testimonial from one of our teams. They had an SLO defined for a critical service. They actually got notified through their burn alert that they had to respond, and within 30 minutes, if they didn't respond, there would be a customer impacting issue. They were able to respond. They were able to figure out what the issue was. They were able to remediate this issue before it became customer impacted. So these testimonials have energized the teams. We've had a mandate as we speak that every single application in our environment, any new service that is being built, must be instrumented with OpenTelemetry and reporting traces to Honeycomb. So these have really changed the way we do business. It's changed the way our engineers work. It's changed their engagement. It's made them more productive. So now where are we headed with this? As we're making these mandates, I think it's important to connect the journey. So we've set some goals. I'll talk about our year-end goals. One of our year-end goals is that we wanted to move 100% of all our applications to Honeycomb using OpenTelemetry. That's a difficult goal, but one that I'm confident that with the level of engagement we have from our teams, that we'll be there by year-end. One of the things that we want to call the culture that we also want to imbibe is to really drive down mean time to resolve. And how do you do so? You do so by really knowing when there is a problem, and that's 1. 2, knowing where the problem is, and 3, knowing how to solve them. While OpenTelemetry is not something that's directly resolves the issue you have, but it gives you that power. And using Honeycomb allows you to slice and dice this data the way you want to see them. And that's the goal that we have. We want to reduce our MTR significantly. So this is a really, really powerful thing that has driven value and what every stakeholder in the team have come on board. We no longer have to convince teams that this is a good thing. Everybody wants to join this movement. So one thing that I want to leave you with, I want to leave you with this thought. For organizations like ours, I keep saying that because that's where I spent most of my time in companies like Vanguard. This might seem like a difficult journey to embark on. I think it's important to start small. It's extremely important to celebrate the small wins. And above all, engage the right people early. That's what we did, these 3 things. The success really comes with the result. People are going to get engaged when they see value. There are always questions that people have about their systems, but they cannot answer them. When you give them the avenue to answer these questions, it becomes extremely powerful. That movement is something that I've seen at Vanguard, and we're excited about where we're going, and we're excited about learning more and sharing with the community as we make progress. So all I'm leaving you with today is to really, really think about your current situation. Think about the challenges you have about your system. Think about what are those questions that you want to ask your system that you don't have answers to. Maybe tracing is a good way to look at it. Maybe OpenTelemetry can help you. And maybe Honeycomb can help you. So this is the Vanguard story, and I hope to continue to tell this story as we make more progress. If you have additional questions, my contact information is available. Feel free to reach out to me directly and ask about our journey. I'll be very happy to share what information that we have. All right, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.